Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. I firmly believe that the best way to hold crypto, and especially my precious and beloved XRP, is self-custody. Self-custody all the way, baby. But if I were ever going to consider, you know, having another entity hold my XRP, in particular if there's a centralized entity at play, the only way that there's even an ounce of a chance that it ever consider such a thing is if my XRP were insured. And I've talked about this concept on and off ever since I launched the channel several years ago. And I hadn't seen anybody else ever even posit this idea. But it seems like if we're going to have a world moving forward where the everyday person is holding their crypto in centralized entities, which I think many people are just going to want to do. Yeah, of course, I understand. A primary benefit of a cryptocurrency is that you don't need a central authority. Trust me, I got it. Private wallet. But not everybody is going to want the same thing as me. Not everybody is going to want to take on that responsibility in private keys, and everybody should be able to do whatever the hell they want. But if you're going to do that, if it's not insured, what if there's a hack and it's gone, it's bye-bye, too bad, so sad, but you just lost your life savings potentially. That's the problem. So moving forward, I would anticipate at some point in time, you are going to see this. And for the first time, I saw somebody else who happens to be very well known in the world of crypto talk about just this concept. In addition to that, I have just some other little tidbits of positive good news here. Here's a headline from you today. 7.3 million XRP is new record in XRP NFT sales volume. It isn't nice to see additional adoption of XRP in the XRP ledger in no small part. Thanks to the XLS 20 minute the past, giving native functionality, layer 1 on the XRP ledger, a special NFT related functionality. And look, NFTs are not going away, and they're not just overpriced JPEGs. I mean, they're that too, but there's other stuff to it as well. And I don't think it's going away. And then there's also the fact that XRP just moved up a spot in terms of market cap. So a little bit celebration there. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And I'm aware that I don't sound like myself, in case you had not yet heard. I am sick. I guess I have the flu. That's why I posted no videos 2 days ago. I've been doing almost nothing but sleeping and streaming bad movies. That's pretty much it. Like, I slept 11 hours a day. The day before that, I think I slept like 12 or 13 hours. Completely ridiculous. But if you can coddle and baby yourself like that, it's best so you get better sooner. But in between that and streaming terrible movies, like oh my God, I'm just so damn bored. So I was like, if I can think with at least half of my brain power, and if people can hear me enunciate words, even if it sounds a little bit raspy right now, I was like, I'm going to get there and do it. Because one of my favorite things every single day is just following what's happening in the world of crypto and talking about it on YouTube. So into this first story here from the Daily Hodl. Manager of $2 billion hedge fund says crypto industry will take off after this happens. And they're talking about Mark Yusko. I'm a fan of the guy. Yeah, he seems to be highly intelligent. I think he's very insightful. But he claims to not understand XRP in terms of why it exists or how it has any utility. He doesn't think he disputes that it has utility, it seems. I mean, it's not that he's outright saying it doesn't have utility, but he says he doesn't see the utility, which is a nuanced approach to saying something negative about it, I guess. I don't know how he could possibly be unaware. There's so much information. There's no shortage of information. If you're running a $2 billion crypto hedge fund, might you have done a little bit more research to find out how people are using it? Which makes me actually wonder, because we all have our biases, is it an instance where he's actually just biased against XRP, and so you can't trust what he says on that, but because he's got his own personal take on it emotionally, but on everything else, maybe he is being intellectually honest. It's hard to know. It's hard to know. It's just so weird to see somebody so well-versed with the world of crypto just saying such nonsense stuff in interviews. So anyway, piece reads as follows. The managing partner of crypto hedge fund Morgan Creek Digital says it does not make sense for investors to speculate on crypto assets without insurance. In a new interview on the Blockworks Macro podcast, Mark Yusko says crypto assets need to offer value to customers so the centralized finance industry can take off. And he said, quote, there has to be money, either equity, debt, or claim on cash flow in order for there to be value. A token that simply exists so people can trade it back and forth isn't value. Uniswap, it does all this volume, but if the token itself doesn't give me a share of the cash flow generated by these DEX, then it doesn't really have the right function, end quote. So in terms of that particular point, I'll just say the only part I can firmly agree with is that if there's not value, then yeah, I don't think a coin's going to have long-term viability. But he's considering value to be something that has a certain amount of overlap in what I believe, but it doesn't have to exclusively have those traits cited necessarily. If a cryptocurrency is used by something and there's a finite amount of it, if there's adoption and the coin continues to get used, what do you think happens in terms of supply and demand? This isn't rocket science. Then he says, the piece reads as follows rather. He says, crypto should have an insurance pool. This is interesting. I've never seen anyone talk about this. He says crypto should have an insurance pool similar to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC for short, which insures deposits in U.S. banks in case of failure in these financial institutions. Yeah, and so for those of you outside of the United States, you may be unaware of the specifics of this, but if you have up to $250,000 in an individual bank account, if the bank goes belly up, for example, it doesn't mean that if the bank becomes insolvent, your money goes away. It doesn't mean that it's going to be lost forever, because even if it's been squandered and that actual money doesn't come back to you ever, there's a pool of money that will be given to you, and it's how confidence is sustained throughout the financial system in the United States. You have to have confidence in this, and so people sleep well, understanding that if something goes poorly, the money's backed up effectively. But again, there's nothing quite like this in crypto. So I've been saying for years, okay, I don't know exactly what the mechanics of this might be, but there must be some sort of way, whether it's through centralized finance or decentralized finance, and the two versions of those things may look very different, but there's got to be some sort of way to do this. That to me, that's a no-brainer. Because basically, as is cited in this article just a moment after what I already covered at this point, FDIC exists because they're taking cuts of payment flows. There has to be a way, with the sophistication of crypto technology, to implement such a thing. That's all that I'm saying. And so if it's in a centralized format, then yes, you're in another instance where you have to have that confidence in a centralized entity, which is kind of, in a sense, antithetical to what the point of crypto is. I understand that. But some people are still going to want to do that. They get to make their own decisions. I'm just saying, if there's demand for something, let the people do it. And I'm going to do things my way. There we go. Or maybe some people want to divvy it up. Some people, since they're afraid they could lose it, but then if there's suddenly this other entity and something bad could happen and the government could take it, but it's in theory backed up by insurance, there's risks either way, technically. That's why it comes down to personal preference. But anyway, here's a quote from Mark Yusko. He says, "The other piece that needs to happen, I believe, is the taking a portion of the transaction layer fees and friction and creating an insurance pool, the same way FDIC does for the banking system. There has to be some lender of last resort, safety of last resort, whatever it is," end quote. The hedge fund veteran says every industry in the world needs a viable and robust insurance market to flourish, and the crypto industry is no different. And he said, quote, "You could never get a home loan if you couldn't insure your house. You would never drive a car if you couldn't insure it, and yet we speculate on these assets with no promise of insurance. It just doesn't make any sense," end quote. Yeah, well, let me tell you, many aspects of decentralized finance, certainly as they pertain to the real world, like how they apply today, it's garbage. I'm not saying all of it's garbage. Decentralized exchanges may make sense if governments allow them to persist. Now, of course, in terms of registration, what registration? So what are government agencies going to say, certainly in the United States? Let's see what happens. From a functionality perspective, if it works, yeah, that should be, in theory, more safe if the code actually works and there aren't holes in it. But in terms of, if you're talking about another aspect of decentralized finance, which is basically loans, some of that is the stupidest crap I've seen in my entire life. Because what a lot of people are doing, frankly, is they're taking a loan out by over collateralizing the loan. It's like you could put up say you put up $120 a XRP to get $100. They're like, well, why are you taking out the loan? If you already have the money, why are you trying to get another $100 if you can over collateralize? Shouldn't you be getting a loan if you can't, if you don't have the money, which would be normally what people do? Well, there's an enforcement problem. If you're giving out crypto, I'm not saying there's necessarily no solution. It's just very, very uncertain in 2022. What's the solution if it's under collateralized? If somebody doesn't pay you back, what's the remedy there in a world of decentralization? Not so hot. Now, in a world of decentralization where the loan's over collateralized, then in theory it makes sense to lend something out, because if they don't pay back, then they wouldn't get their XRP back in this hypothetical scenario. But then you're like, well, what's the point of taking out such a loan by over collateralizing? If you have the funds, why would you put that up to get a little bit more money? It doesn't make sense, right? Well, the answer is you're somebody who wants to speculate further. So your XRP is locked up and you can get it back. If you pay the loan back, you can get it back. Now, if you don't, then it's gone forever, of course, so there's risk there. But it's so that you can use money you don't otherwise have to continue to bet in the world of crypto. That is freaking ridiculous. That is as irresponsible as margin trading is, in my opinion. The average person should never touch margin trading. That's how you get liquidated. And so the idea of this somehow magically making sense, no. Now, I'm willing to be persuaded. If somebody has a way where you can have a decentralized finance where there's an under-collateralized loan, so the purpose isn't wild speculation in the world of crypto, and there's a way to ensure that if the person can't pay, then, I mean, come on, is what it is. They still have to pay. If there's some path forward there, I'm open-minded. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but my God, I look into decentralized finance, and some of the ideas make a lot of sense, but that one just sounds like garbage to me right now. So anyway, and then there's also this, just a brief note of good news here from you today. How XRP manages to surpass BUSD's capitalization. Oh, the price went up. XRP price went up by like a penny, right? And so here you can see XRP is currently in market cap position number 6 above Binance USD, another stablecoin. And my gosh, I am so tired of seeing stablecoins in the top 10 cryptocurrencies by default, but it is what it is. And then there's this from you today. 7.3 million XRP is new record in XRP NFT sales volume. Now, I really like seeing this because as far as I'm concerned, NFTs are here to stay. They're not just overpriced, GIFs or GIFs or whatever the hell, or JPEGs. That's just part of what it is. It's a fun part of what it is. But there's other stuff to it, like I've talked about in the past, including automated royalties when some piece of art is sold, whether it's so it could be a JPEG, fine, but it could be music, it could be a written work, it could be a number of things. It could be some sort of video, but royalties can be paid automatically, which is something that without this technology wasn't actually possible before. So it's pretty cool stuff, actually. And we have this additional functionality regarding NFTs native to layer 1 of the XRP ledger. Cool stuff. And so just to see it adopted in any capacity on the XRP ledger in these early days, that ensures the long-term viability of XRP, because XRP must exist in order for the rest of it to exist. That's just the way that the software's been coded. Piece reads as follows. XRPL NFT sales on the marketplace of one of the ecosystem's fastest growing projects on XRP, and that's the name, just to be clear, on XRP, exceeded 7.3 million XRP, its founder Kaj Leroy said, citing BitHomp. This was achieved with a sales figure of 21,469. So that's a total number of sales transactions there, 21,469. Next on the list after on XRP is XRP Cafe, trailing the leader by 6.9 million XRP in sales, with 9 times fewer digital art items sold. And so you can see in terms of sales volume, and here I'll just pull it up full screen for you here. On XRP, just a hair shy of 7.4 million XRP transacted for these sales. Look, I'm just saying it's very early days for NFTs. The XRP ledger has that functionality, and I believe that any cryptocurrency has long-term viability. If it can just successfully solve one problem and it's adopted for that, then the coin's not going away. So here's one more thing. We'll see if it persists. It's very early days, but I like seeing it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.